And I'm Jessica,
and welcome to Nomads,
a podcast about international teaching, travel, and life.
We met in our undergrad music program in Minnesota and are now both international music teachers.
I am now teaching for a school in Panama.
And I'm now teaching for a school in China.
However, because of the world events happening right now, we are both, at the moment of recording this, remote teaching from Minnesota.
If you haven't yet, don't forget to check out our Instagram and follow us at Nomads Podcast.
And if you are listening on YouTube, which you probably are because it's the only platform our podcast is on right now, we would super appreciate it if you would subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications so you get alerted every time we upload, because I am inconsistent.
It's okay. We're changing things and it's fine. So last week we talked with my former admin, Jody, to answer some questions about being a member of the admin team and talk about the difference between teaching stateside and abroad.
And this week we thought it would be a good time of the year to give an update on what's happening with us in our lives and our schools and what teaching abroad, but online not abroad, is like.
Yeah. It's been a crazy time because you guys probably haven't noticed, but we pre-recorded most of the last 4 episodes. So we haven't actually sat down and recorded since school started. And so a lot of stuff has happened since then, of course.
Right. So to start, I thought, we said in our intro where we're teaching, but I thought it would be good for us to just recap where we're teaching for and the classes that we're teaching right now.
Yeah.
So Laura,
I'll
take it away.
hit it off. Okay. So I will at some point be in Shenzhen, China. It's on the south coast of China. I say it's across the street from Hong Kong, but it's not a street. It's like the ocean, but it's close. Anyway, yes. So that's where I will be. There are lots of other international and private schools there, so that'll be a different vibe for me. And I'm teaching general music, 9 years old to 13. So that translates to 4th grade through 8th grade, I think.
Yeah, 4th through 8th.
Yeah. So that's been interesting. So no band this year. This is my first year having no ensembles, but I still have a lot of flexibility to teach instruments and voice how I would like to. So we're still doing a lot of instruments. It's just not the classical, traditional thought of band.
Mm-hmm. Does your school have middle school band or no?
Yeah, it's my colleague is teaching all instrumental. It starts at 10 years old, which is the first time in the curriculum, and then it'll split off. So every kid 10 years and older has the choice to do general music or instrumental.
Okay, but not choral music.
No, so I am just trying to cover all of these possibilities and I don't know, maybe if I were there in the future, if I wanted to start a choir or an orchestra or something like that. But right now, we're not starting anything new. This is enough.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I am teaching for a school that is in Panama City, Panama. But of course, as you know, I am currently not there yet. Panama City is the capital of Panama. It's a pretty small country, so if you know Panama, you probably know Panama City and the canal and all that goodness. I am teaching a variety of music classes from 6th grade through high school. It's kind of split between me and my colleagues. So I teach 6th grade general music, which is kind of just a super fast 1/4 overview of all of the music things. General music, vocal, instrumental, although online. Not sure how much of the instrumental thing we'll be able to get into. Then I teach 7th grade. It's kind of a hodgepodge class because I wanted to offer vocal, but we didn't have enough kids for its own class. So I have 26 kids but half of them are like vocalists and half of them are channel music. Then I have one section of 8th grade instrumental, so it's a mix of band and orchestra type instruments, and then one section of 8th grade voice, so choir. And then a high school orchestra of 6 wonderful students, 2 of which don't have their instruments but have guitars, and we're making it happen. And then high school general music with 2 students.
Love it.
And it is at 8 a.m. So you can bet that they're definitely,
Highly
very
engaged.
talkative at 8 a.m. No, but in all seriousness, like all the kids are great.
Nice.
But yeah, that's my course load for this year.
Mm-hmm. So do you have any updates about when you might potentially go there or how that's going to work?
No. I I have heard through the grapevine. We have several group chats on WhatsApp, which is a messaging phone app if those listening aren't familiar. But we have several apps or several chat message streams on there, one for the new hires. And I was hearing from the HR people that some people are going in like the middle of October and some are going in like the middle of November. And this was like news to me. And I was shocked because I had not heard anything about it. But maybe we should have done this update later this week, because actually on Monday we're having a meeting, the new teachers, with the HR people who are in charge of booking our flights.
Oh, nice.
So I should get more information then. But as I had said previously, our school is for sure online through October 23rd. And I am like 99% sure we will be online until January. But no official word has come out, in which case I, again, as far as I know, am allowed to teach from wherever I want in the world. So I would probably stay in Minnesota till the new year if I'm allowed. But yeah, some new people are moving sooner, which I understand, those who have families and whatnot. But me being a single, independent person and going to a country I've never been, moving my cat in the middle of me teaching doesn't sound super exciting. Like I am excited to go there. I just think a better time would be during the winter break, when I have more time to adjust and don't have to simultaneously teach.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that you have more updates and more information than me, Laura.
Yeah.
So why don't you let us know what's happening with you?
I also question what is happening with me, because there's just so many updates all the time. It's changing, it's always changing. And our school has really put a high priority on getting the teachers back in the country as soon as possible. And like they're actually working towards having normal school, quote unquote, again. Like they're face to face. They are socially distanced a meter apart, which isn't super
Right.
enforced, and that's the rule there.
I suppose we should have said that. My school is everybody, no matter where in the world they are, everyone is online, whether they're in Panama or not. Your school is different. So maybe you want to
we have about
that.
So we have about 80% students on campus in China, and like normal school. They have the 8 periods a day, recess, lunch. And so they get temped when they come into school, like with a temperature gun. They have to wear masks on the way to school and on the way home, but there is no mask requirement within the school. And so basically the parents have, a lot of kids still do wear masks, but the parents are understanding that there's a risk when they send their kids to school, just like there is here. But there's not as much, it's not as much of a immediate threat there, because everyone was forced to do a 2-week quarantine in a hotel. The borders are closed. It's hard even if you have a visa to get into the country. So there's virtually no way that COVID could come back to China, but there's a lot of other things behind the scenes that I'm sure it is possible. So Anyway,
Right.
so for me getting there, it has been quite a headache because in January, when I accepted the job, I started the visa process. And then basically none of that mattered because they changed
Mm-hmm.
the requirements. So I had to do everything again, but more. So different files and different ways to send things. So right now, my passport, my physical passport, is at the Chicago consulate. I don't have a passport, but
Oh
I
man.
can't leave the country anyway because I don't have the visa. So it
Right.
should be coming back sometime next week, hopefully with a
With your
visa.
visa?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been working with an agency. It's like the middleman that talks to the consulate and makes sure that I have everything lined up. And he
Mm-hmm.
said it was fine. So it should be coming soon. And then my school will start to, or they already are starting to look for flights. And since there's not that many people flying right now, I think it will be pretty easy to secure something once I have the visa. So it's
Mm-hmm.
possible that I would be in China sometime in October. That's what I'm guessing. I just don't want to start getting committed to that because things have changed so much this year.
Right. Um, yeah, I just want to know. I know we talked in the episode with Beverly a little bit about like the visa process, but
Mm-hmm.
for me this time it makes it in a way easier with all of the stuff going on and the delays to go because I am just gonna go on a tourist visa, which now they have, which is why my like coworkers, returning ones, are starting to go back in the country, and soon new teachers, is because we're just going on tourist visas, so we don't need to like get new paperwork and
Yeah.
whatever. We just need to bring some documents, including like a FBI background check,
Mhm.
and yeah, that's really it. And like extra passport photos. It's pretty easy, and it seems like more of the work to get the work visa will be actually once I'm there,
Yeah.
versus now. And I mean, I do have to get like a bank letter and the FBI reporter, like the big two things. But again, I don't think that there is a huge. I don't think that we need to have it like a certain amount of time before we go,
Mm.
or the period that we can have it done before is like large. So even if I got it done 3 months ago, it's still
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
It's not like I need to get a new FBI report like 2 weeks before.
Yeah.
And just for the country, which I think you probably have to do too, maybe, we have to get a COVID test
Yeah.
with
We do.
negative results, I think, like 2 or 3 days before we fly.
Yeah, we have to have it within 72 hours. It has to be the nucleic acid test. There's like a lot of restrictions on that. And don't even get me started about the instructions that I just don't know because I'll have to listen to what happens after I get my visa because they even updated something this weekend saying that China is opening their borders a little bit more. So I don't know if that changes anything that I've already done, but I don't know.
Mm.
It's
You would
interesting.
think and hope that you would have done more than you
Yeah.
needed to if they're
Yeah.
loosening guidelines.
Uh-huh. And it's interesting because so Turkmenistan is I think the second least visited country in the world, which is crazy because there's lots of
What's
other
the first?
North Korea.
Oh, duh.
That's
Okay.
what I've been told. I don't have any
That's
sources. That's just what
crazy.
I've been told.
I cannot believe like Afghanistan, Iran,
I
Iraq.
know. But the reason is because the main way to get a visa is through lottery. And they just like haphazardly choose a random number of people each year. And so, like, you can just, anyone listening, go ahead and Google that because there's a lot of information that we don't have time to get into. But so the
If
fact
you
that
want to win a visa to Turkmenistan.
the fact that for me, because the school did most of it, I literally just sent them like my information and then showed up in August versus now with China being like heavily visited each year and I can't get in for 7 months. It's like
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, Kazakhstan was different too. The first 2 years I was there, I could just like send in all my paperwork to the consulate and then they send my passport back. Probably similar to China, how you have to send it off. But my third year, again, like we talked about with Beverly, we had to go in person, which was such an irritating rule.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm glad that I don't have to do that this year.
Yeah. So
Okay.
let's talk about our like actual schedules, not too
Hmm.
in depth, but like what are you doing during the week? What is your life like now?
Right. I have been actually really enjoying this. We are mostly asynchronous. Or wait, sorry. We are mostly synchronous, which means we are spending most of our time just going through a regular schedule. We can have asynchronous lessons, so like the kids working without checking in, but most of the classes I've taught thus far, because of the limited class hours that I have been actually in real time with my students. So that's been really great. And right now, Panama City and where I am in Minnesota are the same time zone. So it's been literally the same. And when daylight savings comes, I will be 1 hour behind, I believe.
Mhm.
So I have to get up a little early, but it's really not that bad. And yeah, I've been really enjoying just being able to like log on and work as normal as possible um, while teaching online. It's
Mhm.
like a normal class day, but virtually.
Yeah, cool. Well, mine is different. The biggest
Yes.
difference is because of the time change. So, and we'll talk about this in a little bit too, but in the spring, we were only asynchronous. So I just like recorded lessons whenever I was awake and then uploaded them or set them on like a timer to upload. So I didn't have to deal with any time changes. But for this school, they want it to be as normal as possible. So they let us know in June that we were going to have to plan to be awake on China time. They did set some boundaries in place, like trying to keep all teachers in the US to not have any classes past midnight, or at least not past 2 a.m. That was like their hard deadline.
Hmm.
But I am doing that
Wow.
because my typical, like my teaching hours are in Minnesota time, 7:30 p.m. to about 3 a.m. But I'm never teaching every single hour of that
Right.
during the week. And so basically what they did is they split up my schedule with someone who's in China. So he teaches half of my classes and then I teach the other half, but it's not always like the half that I would want, like the earlier half. That's just how the schedule worked out. So like Monday I have a class at like 12:30 midnight, and then
Hmm.
Tuesday I have a class at 3 or no 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning, one of those. And then Wednesday is when I have more of a full schedule, so it's like half the week he teaches, half the week I teach.
I didn't know that you had somebody covering some of your classes. I mean, that's really cool, especially
Yeah,
with the time difference that they're
yeah,
helping with that. Because otherwise, yeah, you'd be teaching like a full schedule in the middle of the
yeah.
night. That'd be crazy.
I'd have to be like completely nocturnal. So
Yeah.
basically, the first, so most classes I would see twice a week, sometimes three. So basically, what the other teacher has is he sees all of my classes the first time, and I see all of them the second time. And another reason they
Mm,
did that is
okay.
because they have a rule where no student should have more than two online live classes per day because they're trying to make it more normal. So some classes have
Right.
had like different homerooms or different special teachers just to make sure that that can happen.
So, do you still plan what he's going to do? Like, you lesson plan for him, or how does that work?
It's so funny because, okay, so there's three music teachers at my school.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, there's a class load for like 2.5. So it's like a little bit more comfortable right now because we have actually 3 teachers. So
Right.
me and the band teacher are like the same age. I think we're both 25, like young, relatively new teachers, like did classical training for music education. The other guy who's in China, he is from Ukraine. He has a piano performance degree and he's been teaching in China for the last 15 or 20 years. So he is vastly more experienced than us. And we were like, okay, we're not gonna like write lesson plans and tell him what to do. He has so much more experience. Let's just like, plan together, talk about the curriculum because the curriculum is new to this older man, and try and like work it together. So right now, I'm kind of just letting him know what I'm doing and helping him with the curriculum and the units, and
To
then
like supplement what
does
you're
what he
doing.
wants. Yeah. But right
Yeah.
now, because it's just too much, the planning is too much. I said, pick a unit and do it with the kids, and we're teaching 2 different units at the same time
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
because
mean,
it
that
was
works
too
too.
much to
I
be
was
like,
just
you do
curious.
this outcome. Yeah. But I just thought it was funny because in the beginning we were like, why are we gonna tell this older, more experienced teacher what to do? Let's just let him have his own free reign, pretty
Mm-hmm.
much.
That
So
is really interesting that you're like a co-teacher, but not in at the same time.
yeah, it's kind of fun. The weird part is, so when I'm teaching live classes, there's a para in the room. Technically,
Mm-hmm.
she's called a facilitator, but she's basically a para. And I just feel bad asking her to like make copies or do menial things. Like, obviously, if I were there, that wouldn't be the case. And I'm
Right.
just like, oh, can you please make this copy? And she's like, of course. I'm like, I just feel bad. Like, you're not like my assistant or my slave or something.
Right. But I mean, she's there. You
Yeah.
literally
I
cannot
can't print
make a
things.
copy for a group of kids in
Yeah.
China.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So when I get there, a new adventure of that teacher is still hired for the full year. So we are going to co-teach in the room. There will be 2 teachers.
All the time or only some of the time?
As the schedule is, so the first half of the week, which he taught, it will now be co-taught.
I
So
mean, that could
we can,
actually be really cool though, because you can break out the kids into different
yeah,
like groups.
and it'll be better for differentiation, and
Yeah.
we can decide like how we want to break it up. Like every day it could look different, or maybe like sometimes I will want a break and he will want a break, and we can just like say, okay, today just sit in the back of the room and do some planning, and if I need you, I'll let you know. Or like it could be whatever we want.
That's cool.
It's cool, but I'm scared because it's usually
But
not.
it is glad it is good that they're helping you. Like,
Yeah.
and not just expecting you
Yeah.
to do a full class load in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, cool. Oh, I guess, I mean, I don't know if this is relevant or not, but along with my schedule too, something that's cool is we are always done at 2:15.
That
So
is
like the
very nice.
last hour of the day is supposed to be like for us planning or for the kids to do homework or if we need meetings for like reteaching with kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then actually on Wednesdays, we're done at lunch.
Nice.
So again, like that afternoon, the kids are just free unless we need them. But normally that's when we do like staff meetings
Mm-hmm.
and we'll do like professional development type stuff during the afternoon. So it's
That's cool.
really it's really great. And I am not 100% sure if this is the schedule they normally have when we're in
Mm.
person, but I really hope so because it's awesome.
Yeah.
And we get our classes for 60 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really like enough time to like all meet, send them to do something, have them come back, like do multiple things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've been enjoying it.
Yeah.
Um,
Very
yeah.
different schedule from what we are both used to in previous years, I think.
Yeah, no, it's been really nice. And most days I only have 2 classes.
Mm-hmm.
We're on like a 4-day rotation, but like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday are always the same, and
Mm.
Wednesday rotates through those days. So like the first week it will be like you have your Monday classes again on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Then the next week you have your Tuesday classes again on Wednesday.
Oh.
But just only for like 25 minutes. Um, I don't know. Like I said, I've been really enjoying the schedule, and I feel like it
Cool.
gives us enough time for planning and to work with kids if we need to, and to have our faculty meetings and PD and all that good stuff.
Mhm. So we wanted to talk a little bit about the platforms that we're using now. We did this, I think, with the podcast with Sam, but to more like talk about, are you using new platforms? Have you had to learn them? Maybe you have one that you like more than another.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
Sure. In the spring, I was using Microsoft Teams. We had the option to use Seesaw and something else I don't remember, but Teams just worked so well for me. It was really intuitive, and the students were already like they already had accounts because of their Microsoft emails. So it was
Mm-hmm.
just super easy to keep them accountable. And I love that, and I got used to that. And now we have the option to use that, but it's not really clear how, because we have a different platform that's required. So we can use Teams to fill in the gaps, but I don't know what the gaps are because I don't really understand this other platform. So we're using Moodle.
Mm-hmm.
Moodle is cool because it's open source. So you can kind of make things exactly how you want to. And they've
Mm-hmm.
done a lot of research apparently on how to try and gamify the platform and make it more appealing to kids. My current assignment rate does not reflect that, but I can see how it would be fun for some kids, better than Teams, which is basically it's set up like a news feed, so just always the newest thing. This is more like click
Mm-hmm.
here for this thing, and so I just need to spend some more time. The grading book, I don't like. I'm just not used to it, so yeah, I'm working on that.
Yeah. In the spring, I also used Teams, and I didn't teach our elementary or like I think it was like fourth grade and younger, or like nines and younger,
Mhm.
used Seesaw, but I only taught older kids. So we used Teams. Eventually, some of the upper elementary teachers switched to Seesaw, but I just didn't want to switch around the kids so
Mhm.
much. So I stuck with Teams all year. Um, I ended up really liking it because it had everything in one place. You could message the kids, you could set up the video calls on it, the grade books there.
Mhm.
I yeah, I ended up really enjoying Teams, but previously I didn't have any experience with it. And then this year, I was very excited because I knew I was going to a Google school. So I was like, yes,
Mhm.
Google Classroom.
Yep.
At least I'm going into it knowing it. But I haven't used Google Classroom as a full online platform. I've only used it as a supplement to real life teaching, in person teaching, just for like assignments or posting announcements. So it has been a little bit of a learning curve, putting things in different categories and all of that. But I do think Google Classroom is similar to the main part of Teams. So it's pretty, like you said, intuitive. But my high school uses Canvas, which I have never used in my life.
Hmm.
So it's been kind of a learning process as I go. It does all the same things, or actually more than like Google Classroom or Teams, because you can input different apps into it. Like if you know, Formative is like another online platform where you can do like worksheets, but like virtually, and then they can like drag things and stuff, not just type in boxes.
Mhm.
So it has a lot of extensions that you can like add into it, which is really cool. But again, it's been learning from the beginning.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm probably not the most flashy with my posts on Google Classroom or Canvas, just like trying to get through it. But the kids are familiar with it, so they're doing well. I haven't had any issues with either of them.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah. So let's talk about what it was like to start school online. And like the biggest thing for me, especially with
Uh-huh.
my setup, because all the kids are in one room and on one
Yeah.
camera, is like I don't know really any kids' names. And if I do, it's just like, oh, that blob wearing the yellow shirt. Like I can't see faces. And especially if the older kids don't sit in their seating chart, I'm like, I don't know. Sorry, I'm going to have to call you Ophelia because you're sitting in Ophelia's spot.
Yeah. See, this is the one positive that I do think it has helped me to learn students' names faster because it says it right next to their face. So, like,
Yeah.
you virtually cannot mess it up unless you pronounce it wrong, which there are some
Yeah.
names that I definitely have pronounced wrong. But yeah, it's nice. And then they're all in alphabetical order too. So I know if I'm looking for so and so, they're up approximately like in the bottom of the screen or the top of the screen or whatever.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I guess in that regard, teaching online with all the individual cameras has been nice for the names
Yeah.
because I did learn all new students this year, of course, and it's quite a lot. As
Yeah.
specialists, always have a lot.
This is the most students I've ever had, and I'm still going to give it a chance, but I just think that I don't like being at schools that are this big because you just won't have as rich of relationships with each student because you just have more students. My last
Mm-hmm.
school was like at the end of the year we ended with like 250, and this is I think on my campus slightly under like 500, 400 or
Oh,
500, and I have probably half of those kids, a little less than half. So it's basically like I'm teaching the whole school that I taught at last year. So it's just hard, and especially since I'm not there.
yeah, I get that. My school is about 1,200 kids. I'm not sure if like enrollment is down because of the current world situation. So I would guess we're probably a little under that, but
Mhm.
I don't even really know how many students I teach. But I don't think it's as many as I taught um, previous, especially not my first year abroad. My first year abroad, I taught so many kids. So like I don't even want to know. I probably had like 250 kids. It was nuts, or more because I taught basically the entire elementary school and then had two middle school classes and a high school class. Um, yeah. So
What
yeah,
changed from
I
your
don't
first
have a
year that
point.
you had less students? Did they hire
We
someone
hired
else
another
or?
teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I
helpful.
taught my first year. I taught almost all of elementary, 3 years old, all the way up through like fifth grade. And then my second year, we added 11-year-olds into the elementary school. So then that was another class I had to teach more kids than just regular middle school, which was
Yeah.
an elective. This was a mandatory class now. And yeah, I did teach again most of it up through I think like the beginning of October, and then they began looking for a new person the day like my new admin got there and met with me, and I showed her my schedule. She was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Help me."
Oh my gosh.
And I mean, it was good because I taught so many kids, but I saw elementary, all of them only one day a week. So
Nice.
when we hired a new person, we were each able to see less kids for more time.
Yeah,
So
that's
it was
cool.
really good. And it really helped me build the bonds stronger with the elementary kids that I did have since I wasn't spread so thin.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think we have been, well, myself at least, I know that a lot of other teachers, especially in the States, struggle with this, but I feel like I've been really blessed to have admin that care and remember specials and remember music, and they will put their money where their mouth is and help you with your schedule or your staffing or whatever you need.
Yeah. I feel like, especially um, my, I mean, whatever, my first year too, but I was getting new, so I wasn't really like pushing or asking for anything because it was my first year at the school.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, okay, it's cool. I'm teaching like everyone. But
Yeah.
like my second year, then I was like, I'm meeting a new person and I'm like, hi, my name's Jessica. We need a third music teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So like, and it also affected like how I was doing at my high school classes. So like the high school principal was also like behind us on getting another person, and
Yeah.
yeah, they were all really supportive and helped with that. And it carried into now when I'm gone, they still have 3 teachers, which I'm like, thank you. I didn't fight for nothing.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah. Okay. So, getting to know kids virtually. Yeah, for me, like I said, the names have been easier. But it is hard with, I have some of my classes I only see 1 day a week.
Mm.
And like this coming week, we don't have school on Friday. And I have 2 of my 3 classes that I only see 1 day a week on Friday. So it's been a lot slower getting to know those kids, especially I have that class I was talking about with 26 kids on a Friday, 1 day a week. And of course I know about like 8 kids who are always answering my questions, but some of them I can't. It's hard, but I'm trying to continue to make time to do icebreakers and get to know you activities, even now that we are, you know, a month into school. I'm still trying to do those sorts of things, and every day I put up a question when the kids are coming in the room, and it can be related to music or not, but just to learn about them. So I've been trying really hard to give like that tiny bit of space to still learning about them, because it's not as intuitive as in person when you can have just a conversation before class.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need more prompting. And but I do feel like with some of my kids, I already have like pretty good relationships. With my 6th grade, I see them 3 out of those 4 days in the rotation. So I've seen them so much. And I'm already like halfway through my time with them, and I'm like a little sad about it.
Aw.
But I consistently have kids that will stay after class to be like, can I show you something cool, or can I ask you a question? And they're great, and I'm
Aw.
gonna miss them, and I've never met them.
Nice.
So yeah, definitely I think it will continue to improve with time, but
Yeah.
it has like been more a conscious effort this year that I have to plan in activities and make sure I'm asking questions and checking on them,
Yeah.
versus it just naturally happening
Yep.
at in my previous in-face teaching.
Yeah. I had a big change this week, and this kind of goes into what we wanted to talk about next. So the previous week, especially the last 2 days of the week, which are my heaviest days with classes, I just felt like I wasn't connecting with any of the students. They just gave me such blank faces. No one wanted to answer my question. My para was even like in the room yelling at them like, why don't you answer Miss Galvis's question? Do you not know? Do you not understand? Are you not listening? Like, we literally don't know what's going on. So I talked to a bunch of the teachers. I kind of looked at what I was doing. And this week went so much better. I think, one, we kind of took a step back from hitting the curriculum super hard, and we played some games that still were related to the curriculum, but it was more relaxed. And with the
Right.
other class, I went through every single bullet of this PowerPoint with them and said, do you understand? Are there any words that you don't know? And I would check in with the vocab and some of the more complicated like English words depending on their age, and say, what do you think this means? When have you seen this before? And it did take way longer. Like, we only got through 4 slides, but I know that they understand it. And like,
Right.
in class, it would be so much easier if I were there, because I would notice which kids were like staring at the ground or didn't have a pencil or basic stuff like that. But
Right.
just teaching a whole different way.
Yeah, it definitely does take much longer to teach the same amount of content online
Yeah.
as in person. And like I said, making sure that everybody is on the same page, because you can't send them off to do homework because you're not there. Or even when I say,
Yeah.
go work on this, like and I'm here to answer questions, that kid might still not want to come back
Yeah.
into the meet and ask me a question. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely takes a lot longer to explain things, and you need to be more explicit and clear with directions. And again, like I said, being more conscious and making sure you're making time for like funner activities and getting to know the students.
Yeah.
Oh, this is like super random, but I think it's like a fun story about my kids. So, my sixth graders, we are about halfway through, like I said, the quarter, and they're doing general music, vocal music, and instrumental music, which is probably going to be more digital music because of I can't get them all instruments.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I told them just for it to be fun, I said, pick any song, school appropriate, and find the karaoke track for it, and you're going to practice singing it. And I let them pick like pairs or trios of kids they were most for like comfortable singing in front of, so that I didn't just make them sing in front of the whole class or like random. And I was just going around to the different rooms, and I bopped into like one room, and one of my girls is like straight up dancing around the room, hairbrush in hand, like singing her song. And she didn't even like look embarrassed when I came, so I was like glad. I'm like, thanks for like trusting me with this. I'm like, you're putting on a show. I love it. So I don't know, just I try to be conscious to give them time with each other too, in a less structured way, because they don't get that online.
Yeah. It's so hard to do with certain ages. Like the older kids I'm really struggling with, especially some specific sections, because I'm trying to like not be so negative and say like, oh, all my classes are all my older kids. Like it's only certain classes, but certain classes they are just not involved. I know they're on their phones or their computers during class when they're not supposed to be, and I just feel like I'm not connecting with them. And I want to do something like that that's fun, that shows them that I want to get to know them and I'm not just going to lecture at them. But I know that if I give them a little bit, they're going to go so far, because we've tried it before where I'm like, okay, take out your computer, do this thing. But then there's technology issues and some kids never put their device away. And then it just goes so far.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, I struggle more to come up with those activities with like my high school kids too. And I think part of it is just me thinking like, oh, they're not going to want to do this because they'll think it's like babyish or whatever. But in reality, like honestly, like the high schoolers want to play Kahoot too. They want to like sing to their friend. They want to, I don't know, they want to do that stuff too. And I'm trying to give them more exciting things. I just get in my head like they're high schoolers. They just want to, you know, come to class, answer a few questions, and work on their homework or whatever. But they want to interact with each other too, and they want to get to know you even if they don't show it.
Yeah. It's how you sell it too. Like if you come in and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone at my last school loved this game, so we're gonna do it, and like that, even if you think in the back of your mind it is more babyish, like they're still kids. It's so hard for me to remember. We're supposed to be treating them like adults, but like not really.
I know. I just like in my head think they're so I lost a headphone. I think they're so much closer in age to me than they really are, because now like my high schoolers are minimum like 10 years younger.
Yeah.
Or 10 years, wait.
That would be the oldest.
Yeah. No, because I'm 27,
you're
almost
right,
28. Right. So my kids are like minimum 10 years younger than me. And like in my head, I feel like they're like 3 to 5 years younger than me. But I need to be like, no, they are kids and they want to play games.
Yep.
Like, or they want to just have a discussion in small groups with their friends. Like they want that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I've been trying a lot more to give them that and not judge it myself, because I feel like it's more me judging the activity as a younger age than the kids, because usually when I do that stuff they like it. So I don't know.
With the older kids I always give some commentary too, like letting them know this is a conscious choice. I'm gonna let you make your own teams, And if it doesn't work this time, there's not going to be a next time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Is
Okay.
there anything else that's going well that you wanted to talk about?
Um, nah, just like I said, having the consistency in the schedule
Yeah,
has has been good.
that's cool.
Okay. So, on the opposite end, Laura, are you having any problems or
Oh my
like
gosh.
things that have been difficult with technology or just teaching online in general?
Yeah. I've kind of already talked about a lot of them, but for
Mm,
technology, so basically there's like four things. Well, there's a lot more than four, but I boil it down to like four things that could go wrong in me calling into the class. My video doesn't work, their video doesn't work, my sound doesn't work, or their sound doesn't work. And every day of the week, there's at least one of those problems. We've
oh my
been getting
goodness.
better at like I call in like 10 minutes early just to make sure that everything works. And like my para is getting better at like doing small things like turning the camera on and off or like making sure it's warmed up or logging in, like all these different things. It's just hard because I am not there to like, say, just let me do it. Let me go on the computer and figure it out.
Yeah.
So that's getting better. The kids are a little bit more patient about waiting for technology because I think they had some problems with that in the spring. But as far as technology, that would be the main part.
Hmm.
Getting kids started with assignments and like, hi, music is a real class, that kind of thing has been a struggle.
Hmm.
I've talked to the other teacher about it who has been there for 3 years, and it's going to be an uphill battle, but you have to be really firm with them. And like I basically put in this note. It says like it's a deficient in effort or like in danger of being deficient in effort, but it doesn't mean for the whole unit. It just means for the assignment. So you can just throw those out there like whenever anything's late. And so I had something due on Friday. I told the kids I wouldn't grade it until Saturday. So they had literally until midnight or until whenever I even woke up. And then if I didn't see it then, I was going to put it in as a D or deficient in effort. So I did that, told them I was going to do that. And now I know that I already have 3 emails saying, why did you do this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if you didn't talk to me about a technology problem that you had, that's really the only reason that I would give you an extension, especially if you're 12 or 13. Like, you know what this is like now. The school has been using Moodle for the past like 5 years. So
Yeah.
that's hard.
I was actually going to say something similar. Like, I haven't personally had a lot of technology issues with myself. I like once accidentally exited out of the wrong window and exited out of my video call, but I was back in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But other than that, like actually it's been okay. My first couple of days teaching, we had some internet issues, so I had to log on through my hotspot, but we upgraded our internet. So I personally haven't had problems, but some of my students have had problems. So it is difficult when you don't know kids to know if they are lying and saying my camera doesn't work, or I couldn't get in the call, or whatnot. I am leaning on the side of giving kids the benefit of the doubt because I really don't know. But that has been difficult when kids, like I had one girl one day, she had logged in and out about like 7 times to her meeting. So I'm sure she was trying, but like cumulatively, she was in our 60-minute video call for 4 minutes. So like you are absent. Like
Mm-hmm.
you, that doesn't count as you being at a class. And so it's hard because I'm marking kids tardy and absent when I know it's outside of their control, but I need to mark if they were there or not.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's been difficult. And I also think that has, with a couple students, made it hard for us to like connect because they think I'm like being mean doing this stuff. And I'm like, I understand and I believe you that you were trying and you're doing your best, but at the end of the day, you were only going to call for 4 out of 60 minutes. So
Yeah.
that doesn't count. I'm sorry. Like, so that has been my biggest issue with technology. But the second thing that has been hard has been specifically my 8th grade band, orchestra, whatever, instruments, because I have a lot of the kids have played before, or at least have played their instrument for maybe like 2 months or something. In the previous way the classes were set up. But the kids that are brand new, I'm really, really struggling to teach them instruments online, because I had 2 new clarinet players. One of them I was able to talk to, and within 10 minutes she was able to like put together an instrument and at least make a sound. Was it beautiful? No, but she made a sound. And then I could send her like supplemental videos, and she's improved, and she can play like the first couple notes now within like a couple weeks. But another girl, like, she just cannot make it happen. And I have had her, well, she had her mouthpiece on upside down, so the reed was on the top, like, which some of these things I can see and I'm like, yeah, that's wrong, or this is wrong. But she cannot for her life make a sound. But again, I only got, because I have so many kids, this class is also like 23 kids, so I can only spend like 5 minutes or 10 minutes max like helping her. So I'm like, I don't know. And it's hard because I'm sure there's something simple that I'm not seeing, but I'm not there. So I cannot, like, even though she has her video on, I'm like, I can't tell if you're sealing your mouth. I can't tell if the bottom part that's off the screen is on backwards, you know, like, I cannot see everything. So I really feel for these kids, and I really, really hope that they stick with it. And that it doesn't hinder the overall program, these kids that are learning instruments for the first time. And my colleague has 7th graders who some are also learning instruments for the first time. So I really hope those kids stick with it, because I think the kids that at least know a little bit are okay to mostly independently practice and learn new notes and build upon their knowledge. But learning to play an instrument for the very first time, especially like clarinet, is not an easy instrument to start on.
It's one of the harder ones, I think.
Right. I think like all instruments, of course, have the things about them that are easier and things that are harder. But I think clarinet, as far as initially starting, has got to be the hardest one. Like clarinet, or maybe flute, there's some weird fingerings in the basic notes, switching between those. But like initially making a sound on flute is easy. Initially making a sound on clarinet when you've never played it, it's so hard. And I hope she figures it out.
Some kids will be able to do it on their own, and it's also the personality of the student. Like, maybe she's just not cut out for clarinet given all of these different circumstances.
Yeah, this is true. Maybe, see, this is the class that I don't get to see this week. So now she has to go 2 weeks without me helping her. And she can't even make a sound. I told her, please email me. During these office hours, I will video call you and we can work together. Like, I need you to at least be able to make a sound. I said, I don't need you to be able to play our songs or play a scale, but just a sound, at least to start. But maybe I'll give her a little bit of time, and then if she's still having issues, maybe I'll suggest she do like saxophone or something, at least, because like saxophone's similar but easier to make a sound. Or maybe, I don't know, I really need more trombone players, but it's a vast difference from her wanting to play flute. And it hurts me as a trombone player that I need to recruit for trombone. But I do.
You will be the best person to show them how amazing it is.
Oh, I tried, and I got 2 kids to do it, but one of them is not close enough to pick up an instrument. So I'm like, but I have, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. We're doing flex band, so the saxophones are going to play with the low brass. There's only 3 parts, so it will be okay.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, like, I think a lot of people might presume, especially if they're not teachers, that starting the year or like this thing that we're doing now would be easier than what we did in the spring with like splitting in the middle of the year. Do you think that? Or like, I don't know. It's hard because you're also at a different school and a different company.
I think in I think it is easier in some ways, just the way my schedule is, and then it's more structured and I see these kids. Like that part I prefer. Maybe it's not necessarily easier
Yeah.
because I prefer doing more synchronous lessons and having more sense of normalcy.
Yeah.
And I have experience teaching online.
Mhm.
So that part I think is better, but it was very hard and still is, like I said, especially with the kids I only see 1 day a week. It is hard to start a school year online and it is hard to get to know your kids online. And in the
Mhm.
spring, we had the advantage of knowing our kids. So
Yeah.
if a certain student was like, oh, I'm having like, oh, my camera's just not working, I can't turn it on,
Yeah.
like I know that kid,
Yeah.
or if the kid, oh, I didn't get this assignment done because of this, like I know if they have those same excuses in person.
Yeah.
But now I don't have any experience of my students at all other than online.
Yeah.
So that part has definitely been more difficult.
Yeah, I agree. The thing that I liked the most about last year, however it ended, was that I knew most of those kids for, the better part of that year, and if not the previous year, because I was at the same
Mm-hmm.
school. So yeah, like you
Right.
said, I would know like, oh, this kid didn't turn in his assignment, but I honestly don't think he ever will, so I'm not going to hound him too much about it. Versus like
Right.
now, I had to put in the poor grade for it being late. I'm like, I'm sorry, maybe you were a great student and I don't know that, but you didn't do it. So what am I supposed to assume?
Yeah. Well, and like I was talking about with the attendance thing too, I have had a couple students, which I've seen on like meme accounts too, but it is real. I've had students email me like, I promise I'm normally a super great student
Yeah.
and I feel like there's a misunderstanding, and like I'm like, I believe you. I believe that you are a good student and that you are doing your best,
Yeah.
but you didn't turn in this assignment or you weren't in the call. And that doesn't mean that you're not a good student. And that doesn't mean that I don't think that you're smart. It just means that you weren't there that day for attendance. Or
Yeah.
that just means that your assignment needs to be turned in later. Like, and I, yeah, yeah. It's been hard
Yeah.
with that to get to know them and what's real and what's not.
Yeah. I think the most helpful thing this year is just having the expectations and the accountability. Students know that they're supposed to be online or whatever they're supposed to be doing. There's no like, oh, I didn't get that email, or like, oh, things have changed. Like they haven't really changed that much. Like you're supposed to log on to Zoom, you're supposed to log on to Moodle. So there's really no reason for you to not have done
Right. And I had like a big issue with one of my kids in that I had in my musical in the spring last year with, again, like I believe that you're a good student. I believe you want to be here, but you're not showing up.
that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So again, it's like some of it is just being real with the students and being like, it doesn't mean that I think less of you or that you can't do this, but the reality of the situation is the assignment didn't get done or
Yeah.
that you weren't in class this day. And this is the repercussions of it, regardless of the reason. Maybe your
Mhm.
internet was out, which is fine, but I still need to, for record's sake, acknowledge that you weren't there for the class period.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's been a really, really hard thing for me because I don't know, like I believe my kids and I trust them and I
Mhm.
know that everyone's going through hard stuff, but at the end of the day, like we still have to be like, yes, this assignment is finished. Yes, you were here. Yes, you were not. And it feels harsh to me. You know what I mean? Even though it's not.
Mhm.
It's just a record tracking and keeping track of what's going on. It's not a reflection of them or a reflection of me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because
Yeah, that's been one of the hardest things.
I'm usually kind of erring more on the opposite side. Like, you should know this by now. You should be responsible, because that's the kind of student that I was. And I constantly have to remind myself, almost none of my students are the way that I was as a student. Like, I need to be a
Yeah.
little bit more patient and remind them of things and like help them out because they're kids.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I still, for like record's sake, will be
Yeah.
like, this assignment is late or you were
Okay.
absent. But if I get like a parent email about it, like I had one girl that I guess the time I took attendance, she wasn't there, but she came later to class and we
Yeah.
talked about it. Like, I will change it. Or obviously, especially now, if kids don't get things done, if it's due on Friday, but they get it to me next Wednesday, of course I will update their grade and I'm not penalizing them for it being late. But it's more, like I said, for a record's sake, to mark what's happening.
Yeah.
Regardless of why. The last thing we have on our list, and I feel like we've already been talking for like an hour.
We got like 3 minutes
is just
left.
our current living situations.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I actually said this on the podcast, but I'm in an Airbnb. So I'm in Mankato, where I went to college. And so it's like this weird combination of like, my sister lives here and she's in college life. So sometimes I kind of feel like I'm back in college, but then at night I teach, which who has ever taught nights? Like, unless you're like a college professor. So it's just like this weird.
But even so, you're done by like 6 or 8.
Yeah.
Even if you teach in college, you're done, but like you're not teaching till like midnight to 3 a.m.
Yeah. And some of my friends.
But before that,
here, so.
Yeah, before that you were in Rochester with your mom.
Yep.
Yeah. Me, I have been at my parents' house in the suburbs of Minneapolis, or like 30 minutes. The burbs, 30 minutes from like Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Yeah.
Which it's a great area. I only have a couple of friends that I still like regularly like to see when I'm home in the area, so that's been challenging. And then of course with things going on in the world, some of my friends are they don't do as much stuff as they would when we normally hang out because of what's going on, and I fully understand. So there's been less to do while I've been here, and my mom is pretty much a homebody person, so she's used to working from home. Both of my parents work from home normally. My mom would go into the office maybe once or twice a week max. So they're both used to it, and I'm like not. So I'm like, let's go out and do something. But I have been almost every other weekend down to Mankato, where Laura is. I mean, recently to visit her, but before to visit our other friends. So I have, gotten my fill of seeing other people. But yeah, it's weird. Like, part of me really, really wanted to just be there, but I think it would also be hard because I would get really, really settled, and it would be harder to leave when I do end up going to Panama. I mean, even just being here this long is going to make it harder to leave, because by the time I go, it will have been probably at least half a year. And you've been here now already like half a year.
Yep. And that just every day I'm just thinking different things about like the choices that I made, and none of us really know like what is right or what is the best for us. But I just made these decisions when I thought that I had the information that I had, and now the information has changed, but still doing what we're doing.
Well, yeah, it's like moving abroad alone as a single person is already like hard enough, and then you add in the stuff happening, and then you add in that now you're more comfortable and you've settled into a routine in the States. It makes it harder. Like I said before, I'm still excited to go to Panama and I'm looking forward to being there, but there are definitely like things on my mind that normally wouldn't be on my mind,
Yeah.
like moving abroad.
Several of my teaching friends from the past school and other teachers abroad that I know have taken this year off and just decided to be in the States, whether that's teaching or something else. And I
Right.
totally understand that. Like, maybe if I
I
had
really
thought
do
ahead
too.
more, maybe I would have done that. But this is where we're at. So,
Yeah. Wow. I feel like we're ending on a really downer note, but
well, we got to the good thing. I will end it with the good thing is even though this time is super weird, I've been consciously trying to take advantage of I haven't been home this long in like 4 years. So I've gotten to
right.
see my mom a lot more, spend more time with my sister, like seeing our friend Rachel because she's one of my only friends who still lives in Mankato. It's been such a
Yeah.
blessing to be able to see those people more when normally it would be like a couple times a year.
Yeah. I'm kind of opposite of you. Like literally like all my best friends live in Mankato, except like a couple like that, like I said, still live with my parents.
Yeah.
So I like all my best friends are easily accessible when I'm home.
Yeah.
But it has been good to spend more time with them, and a couple friends of mine, like they are a couple, have, their new-ish child. He turned 2 this summer, so it has
Yeah.
been like really awesome to get to see him more, because I feel like literally every time I see him, even now I see him like every 2 weeks. I feel like he's older and so much wiser.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's been cool to spend more consecutive time with him, and of course with like my parents and
Yeah.
friends.
Definitely.
And you, homegirl.
Yep. Gotta keep it going. We are like the only people, I mean, I still don't have that many single young friends our age that are doing this, and definitely no one who's been almost the exact same path of like going to Minnesota school and then leaving and that whole thing. So it's great.
And Central Asia specifically.
I
Yeah.
know. What are the
And
chances?
and music and Central Asia and the
Yeah.
same company.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'm glad to have you in my life, girl.
Me too.
A distance nearby
Yep.
via Zoom.
We'll figure it out no matter what. Well, I think we're pretty much done with this episode then. We're nearing the end of our first season, but we've got a couple episodes left. So if you have any questions or suggestions, we are always taking them. You can send them on our Instagram page at Nomads Podcast or in our YouTube.
Also on our Instagram, though, with the craziness of the school year, we try to post extra clips. We still have one bonus clip of Sherry coming if it's not already out.
Let's do it.
And relevant pictures and like little snippets of the episode so you can hear and see if you're interested in it. But thank you guys for listening from wherever you are in the world, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.